In the last video, I was telling you about that '70s show where the son, Eric Foreman, says to the father, "Why did these things keep happening to me?" And the father, Red Foreman, says, "Because you're a dumbass." So yesterday, uh, I went early in the morning. I did a big long walk in a nice neighborhood, and I know the people over there. I came back, and later in the day, I decided to go for a second walk. I want to go down and check out Flory Park. They're supposed to be putting a path in there. And as I get near the park, I hear a banging noise like a pile driver. And it's somewhere in the park on the second side where the trail is going to go in. Now, also over there, they're remediating this little stream so it won't wash the dirt out. And I think I told you yesterday. But anyway, as I'm coming down the hill, I noticed there's a girl there, and she's got a cat. She's setting up to catch cats. There's a bunch of cats in the park, so I start talking to her. There's a big, heavy guy with her, and I'm talking to her, and I don't know her. And then all of a sudden, the guy says, "Hey, John," like that. I'm like, "Do I know you?" And I start telling him right off the bat. I said, "Look, I'm having trouble recognizing people unless they're in front of their house." And I said, "I meet so many people now because I stop and talk to people." And I also having trouble with face recognition. If you have a hat on one day and a beard, and the next day you don't, I can't recognize you because I've only met you once. So this guy knows this. So I'm telling him, I said, also my hearing's not that good. And he gets talking to me and stuff. And I thought he was with the girl catching the cats. He says, look, he says, he goes, I come down here and feed the cat. And then he went over and told her. There was a big brouhaha a few weeks ago with a Karen down at the park over the cats. I won't go into that. I'm trying to keep this story on things. So anyway, on stay focused. It's very early. I just fell out of bed. So he goes sort of back to his car, back and forth. He's smoking pot, and he says something to me, and I'm like, nah, I don't smoke pot. And he's talking, and he's putting on like these metaphysical statements and religious statements, but he's not preaching religion. He's just like he made a thinly veiled insult to me, like he has more of a grasp on life than I do. And finally, I narrowed it down to where he lives. He lives across the street from my house. And also, I met him down at the park, and he's very cagey, and I'm very open with people. So at one point, he says to me, "You're getting too close to me." And I'm standing and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "I never had anybody ever complain about that before." Then he says, "You know, when you talk, you spit." I'm saying, "I'm really sorry. No one's ever told me this before," right? He's putting hand sanitizer on his bald head and his hands. I said, "You're a germaphobe." He goes, "Yeah." So he's a germaphobe. Hold on to that. So anyway, he lives across the street from mine. So I start naming people. I don't know him. I don't know him. Finally, I mentioned this one guy. And he goes, "That's my dad." And I'm like, there's something in my head now that's telling me something ain't right. I mean, this guy lives across the street, 3 doors in from me. And I've never seen him there. So I start mentioning, I don't know him. I'm like, how long you been there? You don't know the neighbors on either side. I'm like, this is really weird, you know? So anyway, we got talking. He's like, he thinks he's got the world figured out. And he goes to start the car. The whole time he's smoking pot. He goes to start the car, it doesn't start. Now he knows nothing about cars. He gets out a pump that pumps the tires up. He thinks that's going to jump the battery. I'm like, oh, brother, this guy's total bullshit. All right, now his thinly veiled veneer of all his bullshit is starting to peel away real quick. And he calls his father. The father comes down. I know the father. And I'm talking, he's acting really nervous, really nervous. So anyway, I said goodbye to them. I'm walking up the hill. I didn't get over to where they were putting the pile driver or any of that. I'm walking up there, it hits me. I'm like, holy shit. I remember this guy, Terry, that lived there. They had a big brouhaha across the street when this kid moved in with his back in with his parents. He's a he's a pedophile. The guy's a friggin' pedophile. See, I tell you this stuff, and I don't care anymore. I told the guy, really, I don't care. So anyway, I went on the list, and you have to agree to certain things. And I'm going to look for him. He wouldn't tell me his name. I was like, why? He wouldn't tell me his name. There were so many weird things. He was asking me questions, and then he doesn't care about other people at all. And I just might have forced myself on him once before talking to him, and then this time I was too close. See, people that have been in prison, they don't want you next to them. Trust me on this. That little tidbit someone taught me. As far as spitting when I talk, yeah, it could have been that time of the day. I got this big mustache that gets in my mouth, and anyway, he didn't hold back on different insults, like trying to show he's smarter than I am and all this other thing. So I'm walking up this hill, and I go, son of a bitch. So I come home and I looked up, and the third one down, there he was. All right, he's a pedophile. I was able to read his trial in our town here and what he said to the judge and everything. But yeah, and I'll say it again. Why do these things keep happening to me? Because I'm a dumbass. All right, so if you keep going to the park, and you're walking the trails, there's a crappy little trail. And there's always people sitting in the cars smoking pot. When you go by, you smell it. So you have the people that come down there that just sit and smoke pot before they go home. They see this guy can't smoke in that development across the street because the owner will kick you out. You can't smoke in the house. So his parents don't want the smell of pot around the development, so he goes down the park. And that's where I met him maybe once or twice. I don't know. So it's so funny. He's a pedophile. He's insulting me. And I take it from people because I want to understand people. But the park, anybody parked in the park, in the cars, they're sitting there smoking pot. Now, sometimes a person will get out. He'll go walk near the Mill Creek. There's benches you can sit on. And I'll come up on them. And I'll start talking. And they're acting antsy. And then they say, I got to go. They do talk to me for a while. And then they go. And then as I'm walking up the hill, I realize they doubled back. They're going to go smoke pot. They don't want me to know that they're doing drugs or smoking pot. So anybody in the car and certain people in the park are there only to smoke pot. All right? You got that? See, you learn if you get out there and walk around. Now, the people walking the dogs, they're a different group. They're there. They got tired of walking the dog in their neighborhood. They put the dog in the car. They drive over to Flory Park. It's got two halves. And then they walk the dog. And the one guy, he was single. He was divorced. Like 4 kids. He's got 2 dogs. He's retired. And we had a long conversation. I mean, because we have a lot in common. And he would do that. Did you ever notice this? Did you ever? And he's into learning new things. And every once in a while, I'm lucky I bump into someone like that wants to learn new things. And then you have the people that do drugs and everything. Their brain is fried, and they oh man, the stuff the guy was saying. But you can't prove any of it. And I said to him, we will never know. Well, yeah, there could be an afterlife, but we don't know that. You can't prove that. So anyway, yeah, he's a pedophile. Oh my God. Yeah, he was real nervous. Like he was certain things he wouldn't answer certain questions. And I told you I've gotten a lot deeper with what I ask people because I want to see what they think about life and different situations compared to how I think. And I consider myself still growing as a person because I was a repairman. And when you're a repairman or a computer guy, you're weird. You're like an 8-ball. You can't relate to other people because your whole life is based on fixing things. Where other people, they're into manipulating people, trying to get ahead, trying to see. When you're in computers, if you're good, you automatically just get ahead. Where other people that work, they have to like make sure they're seen, or they produce a paper, or yeah. And when you're a good technician, your name is constantly brought up, and the cream rises to the top. I told you that once before. And it's only a matter of putting up with other people that were a technician. They weren't as good as you, but they were able to move up into management. Now you got a guy that's your manager that never achieved the level of repair that you have. And then you have to put up with him. And then somehow along the way, he forgets how long it takes to do something. There's a lot involved in life, but you got to hear when someone's really stupid, they have these things that they think are absolutely true. And you're like, when the smarter you are, the more you realize you don't know everything. I just play it cool. I just stand there and you spit when you talk, and I'm like, gee, I never noticed. But I was getting pretty close because he reminded me of my friend Artie that's dead that I grew up with. He was just as heavy. His hairline was just as bad. Then no hair on the top of his head, only on the sides. I felt like I knew him. You have that feeling when somebody reminds you of somebody else, you become friendlier with the person faster. And there are people that remind you of someone you don't like. You just get a bad vibe, and they usually turn out to be just like that person. It's really weird. But anyway, I just want to tell you, man, I once before I said to myself, I got to stop talking to the people in the park because they're there just to do drugs. See, I would see the license plate from New Jersey. And I'd roll up and they'd roll the window down. Oh, you're from Jersey? I'm from Jersey. We get talking. But they're there. They pulled off the highway, found a back place, on Google or whatever, social media, where there's a park, and they go down there to smoke pot. See, they can't. Anyway, I call it Pot Park now. That's what it is. And I'm going now after this. I've posted this video. I'm going down to the park. I want to see what the pile driver was. Now, on one side of the park, I found a couple trees missing. And they had that cloth up with the sticks, like they're retaining the mud. And it's a steep incline. I couldn't get up there. I think that's going to be the stairs where the trail comes down. And I couldn't get up it. Man, you don't realize how your balance and different things. Oh, plus I had been standing for a couple hours talking to this guy and the girl catching the cats. So my feet swell if I stand too long. And it's very hard to climb steep embankments. And it wasn't slippery. It's just I didn't have the balance. So I'm going to go back down there today and come in through the back way where the guys are working and see my trail. See, the guy promised me this trail 17 years ago. This guy Troy. I don't remember his last name. No, I don't know his last name. But in other words, Troy he's on the crew for the town. And I've known him. He's one of the first people I met, and he's supervisor now of the park. And he's basically kidding me about when I first met him, he had a pump sprayer on his back, no mask on his face, and he was spraying Roundup on the weeds. I said, just get a weed whacker. Well, this is how they wanted it done. And there's a stream right next to where he's spraying. I said, that Roundup will go into the stream. And sure enough, that's what's wrong with the streams here. They got Roundup in them, besides PFAS. But yeah, I have adventures. Because why? Why does it happen? Well, I go from my house and I go out into the community and I stop and talk to people. You don't do that. Most people don't do that. They may talk to their neighbors, and if you walk a dog, okay, you know everybody. And everybody has a dog, and they all know each other. And some of them don't like each other because the dogs don't like each other. But they're the people I met. Oh, yeah, he lives over there. Yeah, he's got a dog and the whole thing. And they're usually friendlier. You could meet some really friendly dog walkers. And then there's people that, look, I'm out here walking this dog. I want it to shit. I want to go home. And they don't want to talk to you. And that's what you learn by walking around, talk. And you make eye contact with people. And you see, I told you I'm scruffy looking. When they make eye contact with me, they don't wave back. They don't wave. They're just like, let me get out of here. This guy looks weird. And then there's other people that are curious. They've seen me every day for 17 years. And one guy I met, which was wrong, he told me this other guy had moved out. But he's been here 17 years like me. And he knows everybody over in the development that has left. But he also told me this pedophile's father had left. And I hadn't seen this guy. And he was very nervous when he come down to jumper the kid's car. And when he got there, he didn't have jumper cables. The kid's car didn't have jumper cables. And the kid's car, when he went in the trunk to look for the kid, he brought out a wheelchair. So I know that's his mother's car. and it's a mess inside. And apples don't fall far from the trees. I learned so much just by observing, and I do ask questions, and some people get really annoyed, with the questions I ask. But I ask them a question that it's not personal. It's just, well, it's their thought on this or that, or But I always tell them what's new in the neighborhood. Like I was telling this guy, the pedophile. I said, "Did you ever see Goat Man?" And he's staring at me. He's a freaking pothead. He has to think for 10 minutes. I said, "The guy with the jazzy, with the card on the back, with the goat in it." And he's staring at me. And then finally, the potheads, they don't realize how stupid they are. And all of a sudden, yeah, I met him. I said, "Well, he lives over on the other side." Now, this guy's too fat to actually walk the trail to the other side of the park. Well, I see people, the husband will drop the wife off at the trail, then he'll go to the other side. That's what he's claiming. And I go, oh, okay, yeah. And he's never been to the other side. It's an eighth of a mile, maybe. And it's just, like I said, why do these things keep up? I put myself out there. You go up to a stranger, you don't know what you're going to get. And that's the second pedophile that I met. And one of them was Amish. And I was looking through the pedophile list. We had a couple in our neighborhood, and they basically forced them out. And I've seen an Amish pedophile. And I'm like, holy crap. And I said, that guy looks really familiar. But Amish people sort of look familiar. So I'm out walking, and I bump into this guy. And his name is Yoder Fisher, John Yoder Fisher. Anyway, I met him several times when I first got here. And then, I remembered his name. I come home, I looked at it. It was him. He was a pedophile. So the next time I met him, he was telling me he had to move. And I'm like, what's going on? He goes, well, and he says, I did something stupid. And he told me he was a pedophile. And there's a learning lesson. Did you ever talk to a pedophile? I've talked to two of them so far. Oh, man. So this guy, he's really nice, but he's got a problem. So the next time I met Yoder Fisher, I think it's Jacob Yoder Fisher. That's his full name. Yoder is another Amish name, but sometimes they get it as a middle name. So he's out there at a yard sale, and he's got a bicycle that's set up to look like something military. And I talked to him for a while. Now, right after that, my Fisher friend, I asked him, I said, I haven't seen him. He goes, oh, he molested another kid. He's in jail. So I didn't look at incarcerated people. I just looked at people that are in the neighborhood. And this guy, the pedophile I talked to yesterday, he claims he's got a job. He don't have a job. It's listed there. They track those people. They have a job. They actually list where they work. Yeah, I know enough I know enough now. Like it's Jacob Yoder Fisher. I used to track him, and then I lost track of the guy. And then this other friend of mine, that's a Fisher, told me he screwed up again and he went in jail. But he molests little infants. Yeah, they're out there, and you're gonna holy shit, Batman. I think that's it. All right, that's it.